Fourth game of the tournament for Canada against a team that has never won a game against Canada at World Championships.
On February 19th, 2014, Team Canada was matching up against Latvia in what should have been a warm-up game scenario. Go in, practice your systems, put up some points type game, and no offense Latvia, but this Team Canada roster was comprised of a Sidney Crosby in his prime.
In full flight, Crosby walks in, he scores!
Away from him. Crosby hauls it in, shoots the puck, score!
Bergeron, Taves, Shea Weber, Doughty, all in their prime.
Bergeron! Oh, he gets Anderson! Oh!
We had the next generation and players like Tavares, Subban, and Matt Duchene suit up for their first Olympics, Carey Price and Luongo as their 1-2 options in net, and more depth than every single team in the tournament. This was a quarterfinal matchup to begin practicing systems for their inevitable medal run. Well, so they thought. In the final stretch of the first period, Team Canada would get on the board.
Defenseman here. It's a forward dealing with him. There's a shot and Patrick Sharp score.
However, minutes later, we would see a disgusting Hail Mary pass from the Latvian defender.
Stretch pass, breakaway, Lars Darzan, score!
And then it would happen. Now in the second period, Vlasic with two defenders on him would rim the puck around the boards in hopes of connecting with a trailing Tavares. And what was simply horrendous luck, the puck goes perfectly to Tavares.
Tavares barged in, missed the puck.
Oh, he's hurt. Hit his
Tavares
knee.
down on the ice and obviously in some discomfort.
At the same time as the Latvian defender is lining him up with a body check and goes knee on knee with the defender, where not only was he done for the tournament, this Tavares knee injury meant that he was out for the entire season. So not only would Canada lose Tavares, who keep in mind was on pace to finish second in scoring in the entire NHL, only behind Crosby, but the Islanders would lose their leading scorer and franchise player. And after digging into the story, I would discover something shocking, as the domino effect rooted from this freak incident would forever change hockey history. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. So far this season, we have witnessed some of the most entertaining and chaotic hockey I have ever seen, so there's no better time to pick up some tickets from SeatGeek. SeatGeek also makes it easy to find the best tickets for your budget. Green means you're getting a good deal. Red, well, not so much, as I make it a goal of mine to watch McDavid at least once per year, as I feel like I'm a part of hockey history watching this man skate laps in person, and I can find tickets to see McDavid for as low as $42. But maybe I want to splurge to sit in the lower bowl? There are tickets in the Oilers Attack Zone for $129. So whether you want to find tickets for sports, concerts, festivals, even if you've used SeatGeek in the past, if you click the link down below and download the SeatGeek app, you'll receive 10% off your order. This offer is only available for a limited time. Thank you so much to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Heading into this Olympics, the NHL wasn't in a great place. They were fresh off the 2013 lockout shortened season, scoring was down, Jamie Benn would shortly lead the entire league in scoring with 87 points. Attendance and viewership was down from the explosion we saw after the arrival of Ovechkin and Crosby, but most importantly, revenue was down. Now, obviously fans could care less about revenue, but the owners, the multi-billionaire owners, well, they really care, because around this time, the NHL, Gary Bettman, was entering a fairly intense negotiation with the Olympic Committee, because during the 2010 Olympics, the gold medal final saw, and get this, 114 million viewers. This past season, the Oilers-Panther Game 7 final would see approximately 16.3 million. Therefore, the 2010 Olympics had nearly 7 times the viewership than one of the most watched Stanley Cup finals in NHL history. The 2010 gold medal game was on par, if not surpassed, the Super Bowl, one of the most televised events in the world. Yet, the NHL does not receive a penny from this game. Even though the players in this game were made up of entirely NHL players, the NHL doesn't receive any of the profit. Now, as a fan, do I care? No, not really. Actually, no, not at all. But again, we're talking about billionaire owners who were missing out on Super Bowl viewership, aka tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions in revenue from the entire tournament. And with that, the Olympic Committee would come back to the NHL and state, well, yeah, you're not getting paid, but you're advertising your game, the NHL, to the entire world. But you're receiving free marketing in terms of viewership on par with the Super Bowl, so we don't care. Back out, I dare you. Sorry, Gary, you're in a time where you need this viewership viewership and growth, so sucks for you. And they were right, as the NHL wasn't in a great place after the 2010 Olympics, as their struggles would directly lead to a lockout, and they couldn't afford to lose the marketing potential of this tournament. But then the Tavares injury would happen, which would cause a spark to lead the NHL to backing out of the Olympics. As this negotiation wasn't just about revenue, as the NHL would come back at the Olympics and say, okay, at the very least, you can pay for player insurance, so that when one of our guys goes out and gets injured, they're done for the season, at the very least, you can be on the hook for their salaries. But the IOC would refuse. And with this dispute, the NHL would decide to back out of the Olympics. Think about the optics here. The Islanders back in 2014 were a team that relied upon John Tavares. The man was the MVP of the team and a top 3 scorer in the league at the time of this tournament. The year before, Tavares would single-handedly bring the Islanders back to the playoffs. For the first time since 2007, the Islanders as of 2024 have a valuation of around $1.77 billion. Not only was the NHL not happy with them having to pay tens of millions of dollars in salaries due to injuries that occurred outside the NHL, not just for Tavares, but for all the injured NHL players, as Barkov too would have a season-ending injury. Not only are they not getting a share of the tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, but when you consider that a player getting injured could single-handedly change the direction of a near $2 billion franchise, I can definitely understand the NHL's frustration, even if you don't care at all about revenue. After Tavares got injured, it would put the final nail in the coffin for the Islanders' playoff hopes. This injury was monumental. Now factor in the viewership explosion caused by McDavid, Austin Matthews, Cale Makar, the NHL now didn't feel as vulnerable on relying on the Olympics for marketing exposure. The league was growing back to a great place. So they said, you know what? Screw the Olympics. We're gonna back out and prove we don't need them. Hell, we're gonna start hosting our own international hockey tournaments. We're gonna start playing more regular season games overseas. And it worked, as the gold medal final in the 2018 Olympics saw a 96% decline from the all-time high of the 2010 Olympics, as all of a sudden the Olympics cash cow event was gone, and they were definitely feeling the effects, and is the sole reason to why we're now seeing the 4 nations face off. Not to mention the bizarre event which was the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. Now we don't know the exact details, or at least I couldn't find them. I'm assuming they don't want to release all the details, because making a deal with the NHL would set a bad precedent for the Olympics. But they are heading back, as this year's 4-nation face-off will be a great taste to why international hockey is unparalleled. The fact that you can watch an event with Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, Makar playing on the same line, the Tkachuk brothers, Hughes brothers, Austin Matthews, it's some of the greatest hockey you will ever witness. And all of this was rooted from the domino effect, which was the John Tavares freak injury. Also, I don't want to go too far in the weeds here, but around this time, Tavares was getting frustrated with the direction of the Islanders. His entire career, he had next to no help throughout the roster, so him getting injured and shut down for the rest of the season surely didn't help. And well, guess what would happen? He was hesitant on signing a long-term deal with the Islanders, where this man's frustration would boil over to him leaving to the Toronto Maple Leafs in free agency, where NHL history would change forever. I'd really appreciate ya if you left a like on this video. A big shout out to SeatGeek.